here.
Okay. Turn it up as loud as I can here, guys. Yep, I just have to move over Kristen. Okay,
So you
she's
can-
coming on.
We can hear each other.
Can everyone hear us?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, yes.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties. So we're trying to, we're in the room. We have Paul Carney, Jackie, Danelle, Andy, myself, but we are having a little bit of technical difficulties. We're gonna try to make the best with what we have. So we have James on, Steve's on, Scott,
Rich is here.
Rich is here, and is Kristen here?
Yes,
How about Dave?
not Dave.
Not Dave? All right, well, we're gonna get started without Dave.
Can you,
Can you guys hear us okay?
Yes.
All right. I don't know the statement of compliance. Did you?
no, I don't. It's on my computer. I have to go get it.
I take it you guys can hear us okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just give us a few minutes. We're gonna get started.
Sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
All
in the
right,
minutes.
we're gonna get started. Okay, call to order. This is a regular meeting for November 18, 2021 of the Vernon Township MUA. Statement of compliance pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice is defined as Section 3D of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on December 20th, 2020 by delivering to the press such notice and posting the same at the municipal building and file with the office of the MUA as well as posted on the website. Let's salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
which
which it
stands
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Roll call of members and professionals. Go ahead, Jackie.
Okay. Mike Fury,
Here.
Paul Carney,
Here.
Andrew Pitzer,
Here.
Kristen Wheaton,
Present.
Scott Galway,
Here.
and Dave McDermott, not here. For professionals, we have Don Albright, the Administrator CFO, Steve Benoski and James Chappelle, engineers, Rich Wenner, the attorney, myself, Jacqueline McCabe, the recording secretary.
Is Howie on?
He is not
He's
on.
on. Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to open to the public. Motion open to public. Motion by Andy Pittsburgh, second by Paul Carney. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? We'll make a note that Dave McDermott just joined us.
Yes, 7:08. I don't have any correspondence to read into the record, and I don't have anyone raising their hands.
And we see no one in live here in the audience. I'll entertain a motion to close to the public.
Make a motion to close. Second that.
Motion by Paul Carney, seconded by Andy Pittsburgh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, number 6, approval of bills, resolution 21-54. Does everybody have a chance to review all the bills in the agenda package? Are there any questions or concerns about the bills?
I don't have a concern really. I just wanted to, these things that were purchased, some of the bulk equipment, and the batteries and the leaf blower and a couple other tools, those type of equipment. So I just wanted to make sure that they were secured and in the possession of the MUA. understanding that they can be lent out to DPW if obviously they need something, so we help each other out here, but at the end of the day, I just want them, accounted for in, in anyways possession. And I was told that that's the case, so I'm okay.
Yeah, where are they stored?
So we either store them in the toolboxes, we dispose of the toolboxes that are locked in the truck, or they're stored at pump station 3 in the house there.
Right,
And we do have an inventory of tools too, that we've been updating.
okay,
Every time I buy something, I add it.
all right, good. Any other questions about the bills list? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 21-54.
And I'll second that.
Motion by Paul Carney, seconded by Andy Pittsger. Roll call.
Mike Fury,
Yes.
Paul Kearney,
Yes.
Andrew Pittsger,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes,
Dave McDermott.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Number 7, approval of minutes from October 21st, 2021. Anybody, you have a chance to review those minutes? If there's any questions, concerns about that? Paul, you're the only one that wasn't there?
I was not there.
So only 4 of us can vote on it, right?
No, I have 5.
You have all 5, okay.
Mhm.
Any questions about the minutes? So I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2021.
Motion to approve the minutes for 10/21/21.
I'll second the motion. Roll call,
Mike Fury,
yes.
Andrew Pittsger,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
yes,
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Scott Galway.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 8, resolution 21-55. This is resolution authorizing the Vernon Township MUA Chair to endorse permits related to the pump station number 2 under the recommendation of the Vernon Township MUA engineer. I have a question. Is this for any permits or
For general permits for pump station 2.
it just has to be related to pump station number 2? Oh, okay, I misunderstood that.
To alter if you wanted that.
Didn't we talk about possibly just making it in general, being able to approve any permit?
We had talked about that, but I don't think we really stepped into that area. And I think we need legal counsel to discuss that.
Oh, yeah, Rich, do we have to be very specific to a particular project or can we do it in general? Rich Wenner?
You could do it, yeah, you could do it in general. This one was obviously, I tailored it specifically to the pump station 2 because it was my understanding that was really where the need for the execution of the endorsement of these permits was going to come in on a fairly regular basis, and
Right.
was therefore most time sensitive. But we can certainly do a general resolution authorizing the chair to sign any permit upon endorsement or upon recommendation by the engineer.
Well, let's just cross that bridge when we get to it, right?
Do we really, I mean, how long is it going to happen?
I don't,
I mean, do you think, Danelle, is it really necessary? Is it would it reduce the amount of work that we do or not?
no, I don't think so.
If there's any other permits, I don't know. That would be the engineer. I don't know what other permits we could have. But,
Let's consider this one for now and then move on. All right, so again, anybody have any questions about like resolution 21-55? This is
No, but I agree, we should revisit it,
for all
Not this
permits. All
one, we should take a look at this one.
right, so entertain a motion to pass 21-55.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 21-55.
I'll
Second.
that.
Motion made by Dave McDermott, seconded by Andy Pittsger. Roll call,
Mike Fury,
yes.
Paul Kearney,
Yes.
Andrew Pittsger,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
yes,
Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Okay, number 9, administrator update. Turn it over to Danelle.
Can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure that you can hear me. So with regards to pump station 2, we are now awaiting the review and approval of the environmental planning document, and we're moving forward according to various timelines. The good news is that the DEP reached out and they said that they moved that document over to their environmental and cultural resources review teams. So that's in the positive direction. Next, for our sewer service area mapping, as we discussed, we're going to have that redone with the existing town center designation that was approved by the state. So the engineers are working on that. I know they're almost finished on that to get that out to us. Our capital items list I provided to the board. I don't know if anyone has specific questions on that. But we are waiting. We did reach out to the condos about the fencing. That's been like a back and forth. We thought that it was actually the condos fencing. It's not the condos fencing, it's our fencing. So we will be addressing that and repairing the fencing at pump station 3. Hopefully we get that done before the winter really hits. And the water infrastructure. So this is a town project, but I know the MUA has been involved in the past. So I just wanted to update you guys where we are with that. There's a couple of questions that we needed answered. So the engineer is working on a couple of questions Sue has had with regards to it being a loop system, or if there were going to be multiple areas for metering water. So we're gonna meet with Suez next week. We have one of the guys at Suez looking at reimbursement for because of the situation we're in. There's partial revenues that can be reimbursed because it's our system. So they're looking into that. He's going to give us like specifics on percentages and dollar amounts for that. And then I'm still looking into information regarding ownership aspects for use of the American Rescue Plan money.
You don't have that information yet?
No.
How to spend it?
No, I know how to spend. No. So
you-
we have direction on how to spend it, but the federal government still has not given final guidelines on everything's like
All right.
interim rulings. They haven't issued the
Yeah,
final.
my understanding was finalized, because I worked with Rockaway and they have the final guidelines.
Not the interim final one?
I don't
Okay.
know. I just know that you had to, they're
Yeah.
following the same kind of rules for spending the money, and they're very
Okay,
specific.
I'll double check. I have not gotten notification that there's been like the final ruling. We've gotten 2 sets of interim final rulings, but I will double check into that. So thank you. Because
We need to be in those there. Depending on the use of that money, how long we would have to have ownership of it.
Right.
I mean, that would be key on this whole thing.
And the next meeting is November 29th. Oh, I talked to John Hildebrand today. I thought he said it was the 29th.
He said the 29th.
That's what he told me today. I mean,
James,
James,
wasn't it the 30th?
Mike and I went back and forth on this before.
Okay.
I
thought
wasn't on the
initially
email,
30th,
so
and then it-
I talked to John today because I was checking in with him, and I thought I don't know if he,
Well, I was at the league. I haven't checked. I didn't check my
Oh.
news today. So.
well, either way, no matter what, it's next week. It's a Zoom meeting,
Yes.
and if
It is.
Scott wants to join us, he can, and I know the mayor is going to join us. So it is. I think it's an important meeting because it's a meeting on discussing what the arrangement, what kind of arrangement is going to be between Suez and the township, and what's expected. So my understanding from talking to John, pretty, happy with the progress so far. Suez now knows that we're serious about what we're doing, and there's still some unanswered questions, but they're ready to move with us. And
I like a
do
very
it.
positive meeting.
Extremely
I was really
positive.
happy with the outcome of it.
Yeah.
Easy.
And John Hildebrand is really the area manager that is going to be what we're seeing. I mean, Tony is the engineer, but John is pretty good. He wants to get things moving. And he's a pretty good manager. So Scott, if you want to join the meeting, I don't know when it's going to be, but you'll let us know about it. I think it's probably not a bad idea to be on it so you can get an idea of where this is going.
Yeah, that would be great, Mike. I was on the last meeting and I actually I actually had one question coming out of that last meeting because we talk about wholesaling with them. Is that for the entire town center, or is that just for the area down 515 Main Street kind of area, or is it the entire town center that goes all the way through to? Sorry.
Yeah, we have a bad connection.
Just raise the volume up on that side.
I
I
have
could
that
hear you,
100.
Scott.
I think, Jackie's trying to move the video for everybody to see who's talking. It provides a little bit of background, I think, but
Yeah, I could hear you fine, Scott.
now I think Jackie's frozen.
She's not frozen. We're just trying to
Okay.
make a volume
Oh.
adjustment.
Okay,
We are-
Yeah,
now,
I'm at
Well,
100.
now
Don't
Andy's
move.
there.
Yeah, don't move the,
You don't move anything.
don't move.
John, I talked to him today. I thought it was 29th, but I might have been wrong. I mean, that's what
Because
he
it was one
heard.
of 2 dates. We were 29th and 30th.
I think he was waiting for you guys to get back.
Okay, you want to try again, Scott?
It-
Sure. Or unless
ahead.
James has confirmation on the meeting date.
Yeah, it is the 30th. Mike, you threw me
All right.
off before. I thought.
I think it's at 10, right? Or 11.
Yeah, 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
10 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd
what
be
was your
great.
question, Scott?
We talked about wholesaling the water from Suez in that meeting. Is that the entire town center, or is that just the new area going down 15 or 515? Sorry.
So it would be
Go through
the
that, I can
area
answer.
that's not already franchised by Suez.
Okay. Okay.
So part of town center is franchised by Suez and part is not.
Yeah,
So like the part that so I live up on Mott behind a Dairy Queen, and I'm with Suez, right? And then I would guess like that would also, that's franchised then with like the condos, et cetera, correct? That's what you're referring to?
that's Suez's franchise area.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for.
And there was a
for
map.
clarification.
If there was a map of exactly the colored map that showed, I think it's is it on our website? It shows the actual franchise areas?
No, it might be on the township website on an old agenda. packet.
I'll take a look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is a franchise area map where it shows whose franchise is what. And it clears up exactly where the franchise area is. I know Main Street would be still Vernon. All of 515 is Vernon. Where it goes, where it's Suez is from CVS down to the municipal building is all franchise area of Suez, meaning Omega. If they were to upgrade Omega Drive and Theta, it would have to be up to Suez to do that. And they
Okay.
know about that. They're aware of that. But so it essentially comes down 94 and then goes down to the municipal building, and then the Main Street and 515 would be all Vernon. I'm pretty sure that's what the franchise area is.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Like, say that again.
Main Street from CVS to Acme, which that there's a water line there, it's dry. And then 515 from the Daily Bean, if it came down past 94 and then made its way down toward the Vernon Inn, that's all Vernon's franchise area.
That goes that far.
No, there is not a line. The line would have to go from Vernon Inn all the way up to the Daily Bean, and it would be a short run between 94 and because if you see where the fire hydrant is right out in front of CVS, that's where the line ends. So maybe it'd be, I don't know, 300 feet on 94.
So you're saying.
That makes it the loop. That loops it.
You're saying up to the Vernon. You would have that water crossing before the Vernon.
Yeah, we would, the proposed line would go to 94. And then the line from there to Vernon Inn that'd be a difficult phase to do because of the stream crossing.
Because that's what we spoke about too regarding the sewer system.
Right,
The
the stream cross.
So if that's something that's ever gonna be talked about, we're gonna have to cross that stream at some point or another. It would be a larger project where you. would
It'll be a
load
larger
pipes At the
project.
same time.
Right.
Get it over and done with.
Right, so when I talked to James, and he can confirm this, the approximate cost, the estimate for the Daily Bean down to 94 and to loop it around and then connect it to 94 and make it a loop. And then that line and, the entire project to do that would be about $2 million. Right,
With all of the extra, it's not just the pipe.
It's
Just to be
the,
clear, that's not just the pipe.
it's the, not just the pipe, but also the, whether there's a pump station
Storage tank.
or a storage tank. Yeah, because there's, and James can explain, about, James, we talked about that today, that there's, he has to investigate whether a storage tank or some kind of pump station to provide adequate pressure into the town center. So they're gonna have to engineer that.
Yeah, Mike, if you want to, just to clarify, because I was driving while trying to remember numbers, but I think, so the water line, I think we had a cost estimate for the portion that we're working on currently of between like 600,000 and $1 million for that portion. And then the tank, I think we had somewhere in the ballpark of 600,000-ish, depending on what type of foundation or things of that nature that could be required. That cost could go up if we have certain factors, including if we have to acquire land, if a more substantial foundation is required, depending on like the configuration required to connect it into the existing system. Those factors are unknown at this point. So we had given that a range of somewhere between 600,000 and looks like upwards of, if like worst case scenario, of like 1.1 million for the tank. There's a lot of different alternatives, but yeah, what you were saying before with the 2 million, that was generally discussed as the tank and the water line portion of the estimate.
That's the approximate cost for tank and the water line. If you didn't do the tank and you couldn't get approval for a tank to maintain system pressure, you could do it with like variable speed pumps and pump stations, which technically can be done. And that's one of the questions that you're going to ask Suez, from their side, whether that's feasible or not. I mean, the easiest way is to do tanks, right?
I was just gonna say our costs are more accurately reflected in the 4 alternatives that were presented, which are based on multiple different factors, and our best guess is that what those things would cost should that scenario become true. So yeah.
How big would that tank be? Is it an above ground tank? Is it underground?
Yeah.
It would be an above ground tank. And I think what we based that off of was a 200,000 gallon tank. And that information came from previous reports by from Suez and their engineer back in 2016.
So
What elevation would you need for this tank to maintain the pressure, and where would it go?
right.
It's hard to say, not knowing the hydraulics in the system, since it is Suez's system. One area during an initial meeting with Corey Stoner that was discussed is somewhere across from the Daily Planet, up in that region. I don't know the feasibility of installing it there or if there's any town land there, but the elevation seems to be
Daily
favorable.
Bean is
And
Yeah, I was gonna say Daily Planet.
a different place entirely.
oh my God. That's terrible.
I don't know what anybody's talking.
I'm very embarrassed.
I know the fuck that worked there. So
Oh, okay, well,
Maybe yeah, us knew what it was.
the Daily Bean, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, it goes from the Daily Bean up the hill. There's a local high point in that area that was generally discussed. Again, I don't know the feasibility or if that would ever become a true location, but
There was also another one, I believe it was located, and I don't know the road, if you go 94, it's in between here and Dairy Queen, and it's like up the mountain a little bit. That was another location. I don't know, there's like houses back there. There's like,
You got my drive in that area.
I think that's where it was. Someone in that area.
All these discussions about James went through with us a couple of meetings ago when we were doing it. So all those details of what the cross is, how far up it goes. You were in all of that for us already, James. So it is on record.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these questions, right, James? I don't think anything's changed there.
No, if I heard you correctly, yeah, some of this information was previously provided. And I'm kind of just generalizing off the top of my head what I recall that to be. That includes the estimates that's more accurately, like I said before, documented in the reports that were issued. I don't know, does that answer your question, Andy?
I'm thinking one of the things we probably should do is put that general map up on our website so we have it for reference maybe.
Yeah,
I think it'd be helpful. It's on the MUA website. Is that what you're suggesting?
It's already on the MUA website.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep. So we can reference it.
Hey, James, the other thing on the water, can you update, like doing a survey? Like, that's, I know you mentioned that today.
yeah. So one of the big takeaways of the first meeting with Suez, we got at least a preliminary okay from them for Vernon to actually operate portions as a distribution system and be a kind of bulk water purchaser. So now that we kind of cleared that up and there was no hurdles to overcome, we moved forward with getting our surveyor on board, and we have that work scheduled to start tomorrow. It should only be, I don't know, 5 days maybe field work, and then we'll get the survey and we can start putting plans together. In the meantime, we began work on the technical sections of the specification for that project. And we will be working with Donnell and the town to get any front end documents for the bid portion of the contract. The one thing to keep in mind is with the ARP, we just need to make sure that there's no specific language that's required since the funds are coming from them. So we need to make sure if there are specific requirements that they're included in the contract documents or their requirements.
Very specific requirements on how the work is awarded. So if you get the survey done and you get this bid specifications done, it's possible that you can get it out. You don't want to do it in December because nobody wants to bid in December, but you want it like the first week of January, the first or second week of January. Is that possible to get a bid specification done? I'm not asking Jay. Is it possible to get the specifications completed and out to the public in like the second week of January? Is that possible?
Yeah.
So if it gets out by
Yeah.
January, mid-January, you give X amount of days, a month. Sometime February, we can award it would be it'd be to the township. Since it's to the township, awarded by February, possibly breaking ground mid-March, mobilized and going.
I love how he pushes it like,
You like how we do that?
we were to bed, he's like, and you start tomorrow.
Exactly.
That sound like, yeah.
Hey, like, do you, and I know this is a loaded question, but like, do you expect it's gonna be difficult to get piping? Because I did talk to Suez, John Hildebrand, and they're having difficulties getting piping. So expect delays because material is hard to get.
We had some big projects.
I would say regarding, sorry, Paul, were you saying something?
Yeah, is it
sorry, I was just saying.
Hey, James, do you think it may be difficult in getting supplies?
It's possible. Supplies might be a challenge. However, from what we've seen is if we get a contractor who has more ability to go to various different vendors, there are some vendors who didn't run into any of the same manufacturing shortages some others did. But what happened in some cases is if they're kind of bound to using one vendor, like it's harder for them, like that one vendor that they might have like had an MSA with or whatever with might have had manufacturing difficulties and they might not have been able to get pipe, but if they were able to go elsewhere, it might not be so much of a challenge. So as long as the contractors are able to kind of, go to many different sources, I'm hoping that we don't run into the delays on that end. But it is a possibility, and it has been a challenge in the industry lately.
Last question is if you loop the pipe around and connect
Sorry,
it to.
before you move off of that point, is it possible that we want to consider like an early procurement of just the equipment, of just the pipeline?
How would that be done?
If that's possible. I'm not sure how that would work, but I think the earlier, I would totally agree, Kristen, the earlier we could order materials, that would at least decrease the risk involved with any potential material supply issues.
Yeah, but you have to go out to bid.
Yeah.
The bid has to be awarded and the
Yeah.
contractor has to purchase it.
Well, you can do all that for just the equipment, just the materials. And then you have a separate bid for the contractor to install those materials.
So the contractor would be working for
interesting
labor
idea.
only?
No, they would, no, she said, what she's suggesting is do two separate bids, just, put a materials list together, right? I mean, this is kind of complicated, right? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure.
I think just for the pipeline, if that's the thing that's, because I'm hearing the same thing, that it is in, short supply and delays being encountered. And so it wouldn't necessarily be all of the materials, but it might be just the pipeline that you would put out, so you could stockpile it and set it aside, and then you tell the contractor, okay, here's your supply, and you need to install it.
I know, but what happens so you're doing two different bids, and then you're bidding for the material, and then you're bidding for the contractor. What happens to two separate? It's just, I don't think it's feasible. And I think we have the time to wait. I mean, unfortunately, we're in the second week of November. You're not going to put a bid out in the middle of December because, people are, not.
Why not?
Well,
Do you want to, Mike, do you want us to look into
I've heard
it?
it's not the greatest idea to put a bid out in mid-December, but like, this is, if we think we can get this done, James, you get the survey done, get the plans done and put it in bid specifications done, then you got to give us a realistic date when you can get the bid specifications done.
I think,
but I understand we're up against a very tight time frame now, and you got to get the specifications done as soon as possible because of these time delays.
My concern is with the piping. If we can't get the piping, then we're gonna have to talk to the county because they're planning on paving.
Right.
in the spring.
You're right, and they'll delay it so long, and they're understanding, but
Mike, I met someone at the
quicker.
I met someone at the conference, I believe with one of the manufacturers, and I got his contact. If you want, after later, maybe tomorrow, I can give him a call just to see what their supply chain is like, just to get an idea, if that would be helpful.
It would be, if you can get an idea, like the suppliers out there. This is what Suez told me. You'll learn this when you meet with Suez. They'll tell you the same thing, and they're in the water business. So if they're in the water business, they're putting down pipe all the time. If they're having problems, then everybody's having problems. So, I mean, it is what it is, So I guess the bottom line is the faster we can move on getting these plans done, the better off we are. And you are right, if you get it out before Christmas, maybe that is the best time to do it, like mid-December, because then no one's putting bids out. It's maybe you'll get more of a response, but that's up to you. You gotta let us know. Get us some feedback, James.
Yeah. Yep. I'll reach out to my contact.
Any other questions about the water? Wait, if you have to connect 515 to 94 and now you're going down a state road, 94. Do you need a state permit? That's part of that's because you're looping it, you're gonna have to do that. So you're gonna have to, you have to consider that the permit for the state. And obviously the county road is 515 is, that's taken care of, right? Do you understand, James? There's a state permit for 94, a road opening permit, which there's not really a long stretch. I'm sure you're gonna get a waiver for. I mean, it's not that long, you know, it's literally like 500 feet, you know? But
Yeah.
that would loop it back to the CVS, so there'll be a complete loop around town center. Got it? Any other questions about water infrastructure? Or questions for Danelle? Jump into this one.
Wait,
No other questions for Danelle? License operator report. I know Howie's not here.
Let's just go back real quick.
Sure.
Budget looks well. I was actually just running the numbers last week, so I already ran the report.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
Are you looking? I'm sorry.
Yes, a question about the budget.
Yeah, the updated numbers from the last quarter will be on the website tomorrow. As far as the new budget, I mean, I've been working on it. But we should probably have a finance meeting so we can discuss where we want to go with that in the finance subcommittee.
Who's, I'm sorry, but who's on the phone? It was Harry, wasn't it?
Yeah, we was you and Harry, but it's not Harry anymore.
Howard.
No, for
No.
the finance subcommittee.
It was Harry and you,
Yeah, it was you and Harry, but it's just you.
obviously.
now.
We haven't had a chance to have a meeting yet.
Right, so I'm saying we should have a meeting.
I'm ready whenever you are.
There you go. Andy's got it.
Well, that's why I was asking when we
Yeah.
need to do that. And then we had some updates from school on rates.
Yeah, so they sent us the preliminary numbers. This is what they do. They send us preliminary numbers for next year. And they increased their rate by 3%. So it's over $2 million next year.
Really?
So our debt service is the same. So our debt service doesn't increase until 2023, so it's at $1 million. But they increase their operations and capital expenses 3%.
That hurts.
That's unbelievable.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see the numbers and you and I can sit down. Does anybody else want to sit in on the budget meeting?
Not me, sorry. Paul might.
That's all we can say.
Yeah,
No.
we'll start from there. We'll start looking at it. Good. Thank you. That's my question.
Operator update, who wants to speak for Howie?
I'm next addressing the question.
There's one question about the alarms.
Yeah.
Did you have
so
Ray
that
come
was-
in?
Yeah, so Ray came in, he checked it out. Howie had said that it's the transducer was the cause of the alarm, and it kept correcting itself before they got an alarm on their phones. So it was fixed. I haven't heard that there's been an issue since then, so at least it's fixed and it's taken care of. It was a very strange thing. The alarm was going off at the pump station, but the guys weren't getting notified. And there was no actual alarm, like there was no actual issue.
And Ray checked it out already.
Mhm.
Was he responsive?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
he's super responsive.
Ray's the best, right? And there was a grinder issue on number 3.
Yeah, it tripped the breaker, so they had to put it back on.
All right, they respond to that. And they're also doing some renovation of,
Pump station 3.
yeah,
Has that started?
I believe we got the pricing.
They were going to get it on Wednesday. I haven't received it yet, but I will call again tomorrow to get it.
who's doing that work? Is there a contractor doing it, or these guys are gonna do it themselves?
You know, the DPW is
DPW.
gonna take care of it for us. It's less expensive to reimburse the labor. They have someone over there who
It's pretty
has
good.
experience with that for years.
All right,
Yeah, sorry, there's someone at the DPW who has experience for that. So that'll be beneficial to be able to just utilize that.
I have no problem with that. Anything else? Any questions about the operator report? So there is an operator report for Howie, and then there's also the backup operator, Chris Steelman, with pictures and things like that. So just as a reminder, Chris goes and reviews the system once a month. He goes out once a month and provides pictures and a report, and that's all in the packet. So if there's any questions or details you want to know, just call the office and they'll explain it to you.
I do have one. I saw on the report there is a picture of pump station 2 on the door lock.
That's been fixed.
Yes.
They put a lock on it. Because
They put a lock on it, but the thing is, there are 4 screws sticking out that you could have a lock there, but all you need is a screwdriver, and you can open up the door.
So really?
Yeah.
Is that the
look it
one?
up.
Is that one right
Wait,
there?
the new one?
Is that that one?
the new picture,
All I see is the one.
You're talking about
picture.
in the report, in the.
That
report.
one.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, so it's,
Oh, they put a deadbolt in. I didn't see that.
Oh,
Okay.
That was a
'cause before
separate
they had a
attachment.
Strap lock on. The strap lock had 4 screws looking at it. I didn't get the picture of the deadbolt.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a dead.
I don't have my computer.
sorry.
Any other questions about the operator report? If not, we're gonna move on to the engineers report. We talked about water infrastructure. If Steve or James or whoever, if you want to touch on anything else, you gave us an update, a written one, which is great, by the way. But if there's anything else you want to talk about that's important, go right ahead. We'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I'll just say that, some things that have happened since this report was issued a week ago is, let me see here, sewer service area mapping, Donnell hit on that. We're updating that based on some communications with Donnell and Rich for the town center area. Pump station number 1 easement ditch. We did a follow-up site visit, and just yesterday we sent over some recommendations to Donnell, which provided a little more detail on what we think is happening with that ditch, with respect to it being essentially deeper than in theory it was in the beginning. Hard to say for sure. And some recommendations on how that could be essentially we're just saying that needs to be, as a remedial effort, it can be filled in with some stone at this time. But you guys probably haven't seen that yet, I'm guessing.
Can you send that to everybody to know?
yeah, I got a couple reports the past 2 days, so I sent everything.
All right, no problem. Go ahead,
Yep.
Steve.
So we 9 days ago, James and sorry, Mike, go.
Okay, yeah, Andy had a question.
So on the ditch that we've been talking about for probably the last 10 months, are we going to fill it with stone?
That's what we're recommending, correct?
Okay, so we're talking about like a 2.5-inch stone. Do we have a recommendation there yet?
Yes, it was in the memo. I think we said a little smaller, but yes. And
Okay.
and we aren't recommending to fill in the entire depth of the ditch, basically just to fill in the amount that would bring it back up to its, what is documented as its original condition. So it's like the bottom of like 24 inches or so.
Mhm. What's the timeline for getting that done?
That,
Did DPW do that work?
I think the DPW could do the work.
As long as we got the stone and that it's possible they can do it.
It's quarry load, a couple of 25-yard trucks and.
Just dump it. Is the access, but access is an issue. Oh, is it difficult to get that
It's
access?
right down the road there. It's right next to the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the DPW should be able to
Hey,
handle that.
Steve?
Andy?
I mean, Steve, it's not really that difficult to do, is it?
No, not at all.
All right, we'll send it out the report and we'll try to, I would like to get it done before it gets, the winter hits. So if we could look into the DPW doing that work, if it's possible. Anyway, if we have to buy the stone, or we'll have to do what we have to do, but we should definitely take care of it.
Just on the pump station 2 force main walkthrough, James did that walkthrough 9 days last week with a number of people on the meeting right now. It was successful in that it was accomplished and nothing alarming was found, I guess I'd say. And we're going to be issuing a memorandum similar to the last one, just to memorialize and so it can be in the record that it was done and what was or wasn't seen. That's really all the updates that have occurred since the report was issued. But if there's any questions, fire, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about pump station 2.
Yeah.
Do we have the final bid specifications to go out to bid?
We are finalizing that now. I know we just wanted to confirm if, as far as the like what we call the front end contract documents, that, it's like say for example, it's the contract that the contractor actually signs, right?
Right.
So we were, and a lot of that for the pump station 2 will be controlled by specific documents required by iBank, which we have all that. We just wanted to confirm, we're working with Donnell to see if the township has anything that they have already that would be used in conjunction with or in place of some of those other documents.
Yeah, I spoke to Jay yesterday.
So you're going to get those documents to them so they can put the technical specs in. And it's possible we can go out to bid by January 15th. And then award by February, breaking ground by March 1st, and let's go. All right, see, that's the way, that's the positive attitude, right?
I would love to see it.
Yeah, we all like to see that, right? Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes, woohoo. Any other questions for Steve? Yeah, right.
Steve, and actually this is for James. When we were going through the walkthrough of the line, you had some questions regarding what was on the map versus what we were seeing. Have we sorted that out yet?
I have not. Let me make sure I'm not on mute. I'm not. Yeah, it was pretty challenging to kind of at times. I don't know if it was just because we were kind of walking at a brisk pace or what, but it seems like there's some sort of discrepancies between what the plans that we were referencing have and what I was actually seeing. So I think we need to, I think it'd be a good idea to just verify some of this on maybe a more detailed walk, which I have not gotten around to yet, but plan to in the near future, Andy.
As far as that goes, I would say those plans represent close to how it was constructed. It does not represent 100% accuracy to how it was constructed.
The actual as-built.
Correct.
No, we know that, but there were certain landmarks that James and I were trying to do with Chris, and we couldn't get a good bearing on it. Chris, right? We were really a little bit at a couple of spots.
Yeah, we couldn't, we didn't think that we couldn't find an air release valve. We found something that was just a pipe sticking out of the ground.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, really? So you think there might be a need for more air relief valves? So you couldn't even find it.
There's, and I was gonna mention, but I don't believe that there's I don't think there was ever an easement for the property on Mountain Creek's property where the line goes up towards pump station 3. And it's all overgrown. So I'm gonna speak to Mountain Creek about either allowing us on the property so we can clean it up so that there's some sort of, rip the vegetation out there, or have them do it, but it needs to get done because it's not, there's trees growing over there. It's not really.
Where is that?
It goes right where that.
It's by Mountain Creek South, where the old urgent care used to be, in that building there with the parking lot.
It comes down that way? All the way over that way? Oh, I thought it was more towards pump station 3.
This is
that
where
where-
my concern
Yeah.
is. We probably need to put some coordinates on the map where we're finding things to get it more accurate. Because when James and I were looking at the map, and Kristen, we're 1985. And a lot of these things we need to validate again.
I agree.
right, James?
Absolutely. And I don't know if we need to go into it now, but when we were out there, we had uploaded the ArcGIS map to a platform they could view on your phone, and I was kind of showing some of the guys with the DPW who seemed pretty excited about it. So I did want to have a follow-up conversation with that. The other cool thing with that is, you know, maybe you want to make something like a layer for like data collection, or if one of the guys finds something in the field, you could drop a pin there. Maybe they can add notes to that specific geographical location, add pictures to it, and then if they wanted to talk about it, they could clearly share that with everyone in an easy way, so that, and then things are documented. And you could even have a field so that if it's a problem, was the problem addressed, or is the problem getting worse? You can kind of have follow-up fields like that, but it could be a useful tool for kind of inspections like we performed on the force main.
There's a lot of issues here that this software can help us take care of and identifying, if I understand you right, James, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And most utilities will have something similar. It's just a helpful way to get around and know what you're looking at a little more efficiently than to flip through maps. And the other thing with maps is there's no attribute data associated with them. So if you're standing at something that's just a green dot, you know, you can't click on it and get more info.
Kristen, you're really good at reading maps, so thank you. The drawings.
She looked at a couple.
She's done more than her fair share, but we were all trying to evaluate it. Kristen was really clarifying a couple things. I really appreciate it.
All right.
I was
Any
certainly
other,
scratching my head.
yeah, right. Any other questions for the engineer? In particular, any questions, concerns? No? All right, we're gonna number 12, move on to motion to open the public for items not on the agenda.
Motion open to the public.
Motion by Paul Carney, seconded by Andy Pittsger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Seeing no one from the public, is there any
Nobody's online raising their hand.
raising their hand? Anyone entertain a motion to close to the public?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Motion by Dave McDermott, seconded by Paul Carney. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No opposed. All right, nobody opposed. Number 13, commissioner comments. We'll start with Mr. Paul Carney.
Really have any comments other than it's just good to see that the water portion of things are starting to move forward. So I'm just anticipating something good happening with this. Hopefully. That's it for me today. Good.
Andy Pittsger.
First question is, any new connections in the last 30 days? Connect, you know,
Any new
sewer
connection?
feed connections?
No.
You know, any thought about maybe putting a connection campaign together for next year?
Campaign.
I mean,
Connect.
we just reduced the rates. And-
Connect now.
Connect now because it's gonna be,
Can connect now or?
Well, yeah, you would need to, I mean, you need to see development.
Yeah.
And I think development in town center where there are sewer lines,
we have more.
it would be good for the township to have some sort of like,
Campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the water lines go in, right, you know, and you start moving in that direction, my understanding is probably like that water line's going is about 20 properties, right? So, yeah,
I
I
will say it has nothing to do with, because it's not township owned property here, but we did do our property sale today for the township. and that
Oh,
went
yeah.
well, So,
Go well.
very well.
Yeah, there's a lot of- very well.
Yes, very well. So, I mean, that's positive. It means that there's a lot of interest in Vernon, which I think we kind of expected. Not as well as I thought, but it's way better than what I had anticipated though. So I think that'll help. I mean, hopefully some of those people with Boston properties are, you know, entrepreneurs.
That's the
But I
hope.
think- Yeah, I think I think getting together a plan on the township side and, attracting developers and letting developers just know that, Vernon's open for business, so we have properties that need businesses.
We have a lot of homes that are off of the 94 corridor, and we've got the possibilities of more federal money for infrastructure that we may be able to grab next year.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of money.
You're talking about for expansion down
Right, but we got to think about the additions there. Can we grab some of that money and maybe consider that? Because we need this other costs that are coming up from SCOMA, and we've got all this usage that we need to use. Somehow we need to get more connections.
Yeah, and if the town had marketing people that do that kind of work, that doesn't really happen, does it?
I
Township,
think, we have.
they do a poor job of,
There's an economic development committee.
do it through them.
Chamber of Commerce.
That would probably be, the Chamber of Commerce is not under the purview of the township, but, they probably have their own kind of.
Well, maybe that's not a bad idea to invite them to one of our meetings and say, we want to start promoting the town and we want to encourage connections, and this is what our goal is next year. And then they can somehow learn about what we're doing with the water and wastewater infrastructure and say, listen, we're trying to attract towns, and why don't you help us try to market that? So maybe that's not a bad idea to invite them. Maybe, I don't know what meeting would that be, but sooner rather than later, right? Maybe the next MUA meeting. Invite them if they want to come. I mean, I Chamber of Commerce, the EDAC, that's their role here. I think it's probably good to invite them. I think it's a great idea.
We've got to start considering these things because we can't live with the 1,500 plus users. With the volume we have, we've got to do it.
We got to start expanding. That's the whole idea. Anything else, Andy? No?
That's it. Connection campaign and no new connections. Those are my two things.
Good. Dave McDermott.
I think, I got to mirror what Andy says. We got to do whatever we have to do to make sure that we're able to expand, or else it's going to be very lean times. And if we have to invite people to meetings, listen to them and talk to them and have some kind of dialogue, that's what it's going to take to get support.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else, Dave?
No, nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, Scott.
Yes, I have just a couple of things, but I agree with everyone, what they were saying too. And somehow if we could figure out how to expand the audience, not just to the town people, right? So that they understand what we're using this money for and what we're trying to do in the future. So people understand what's really happening, right? Because a lot of people are upset about taxes here in Vernon, right? But they don't have real reasons or opportunities or solutions to lower those taxes, right? And I think that's what all this is really about, right? So trying to educate just everybody in the town, as well as being able to bring in those users would be great. But I did have a question, because we talk about the loop on 515, and I understand that, but you didn't mention you did mention down to Vernon Inn. So there's no plan currently to bring the water or go down to the Vernon Inn as well. It's just Daily Bean to the CVS hydrant.
James. Can you answer that?
Yeah, so part of the reason this portion of the project is expedited is because it's in the 515 corridor and we need to get it in before the repay 515. The section going towards the Vernon Inn has a significant stream crossing, which would likely require some type of permits and more it's just more complicated work. It's also not impacted by the 515 paving. So
Okay.
that's why the focus is right now on the section of 515.
So it's like a day 2 type of item, I guess then.
Yeah.
Maybe, or,
Yes.
a wish list type of thing, because it used to be a really good business, right? Vernon Inn. And I know we've had people trying to get in there, but it just hasn't worked out for, these reasons. And it's unfortunate, right? But okay. And then Danelle had mentioned, and I know Steve had mentioned too, about the sewer expansion area for the town center. Is that's not available yet, right? That's something that Steve is working on, or is that something that's going down 94 towards
You're
Mountain
talking
Creek?
about sewer expansion in general to areas that don't currently have sewer. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so there's no line going down Route 94 to
Okay.
hit the other side of Route 94, because as you know, the other side of Route 94 is not connected to sewers.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we have generally had broad discussions with the engineer about locations, right? That would eventually, would be areas where we could expand to, and that would be those areas. So those are ideas out there. Our focus is not on that specific right now. We're trying to get through the water. We're trying to get pump station 2.
Right.
But that is obviously one of our big areas we need to focus on next.
Okay, great. Okay, that's what I had. Thank you.
Kristen?
Yeah. One of the things that came up as we were walking the pipeline, we were talking about the connection fees and how high they are. And that a certain part of it is out of our control. And talking to Janelle, we were kind of just spitballing about, like, is there a way to reduce that? And there, I guess, I guess there's not, because they're, necessarily, because those fees are set, some of them by SCUMA. But we talked about maybe helping to reduce those connection fees by offering a credit towards future service fees. So, if and I should know these numbers, but if the connection fee is, $6,000, maybe we offer a $3,000 credit towards, your first year's or 2 years sewer bill or something like that, to help to again make Vernon more attractive as a place for connecting to sewer. So that's something that we were thinking about, or just throwing out there. I should have more specifics, or maybe have looked at the numbers a little bit, but I'm just I guess throwing that out there for the board's consideration.
I would be interested in considering that. We'll kind of discuss it put it on the next agenda next month. I'm actually agreeable with that, Kristen. That's my personal opinion.
Any kind of incentive.
That's something a marketing campaign group go through and see what would be workable.
Yeah. Where do we have room to negotiate or to offer some kind of incentives?
Oh, let's put that on the agenda and we'll look into it, and like whether legally we could do that. Can you? I'm not sure if you can legally do that. Yeah, we're going to talk to Rich about that. We'll revisit it in the next meeting. I think it's worth looking at.
Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
You also mentioned something about pilot programs when we were out there.
Pilots have nothing to do with it.
Pilots are taxes.
Yeah.
Those are
Okay.
related to that. So you can't do that with sewer fees.
And I guess I just had a follow-up to Scott's comment or question about, the connection to Vernon Inn. And I understand, James, you're talking about a stream encroachment permit, I guess, for that crossing. But wouldn't we be crossing? Well, I guess it hasn't been laid out, so we don't know necessarily which way that sewer is going to run, or you probably need a pump to get it, up and over to Main Street or over to 94. all right, I guess I'll back off. I was gonna say, maybe doesn't seem like it should be that big a deal to put a utility across across an existing right of way.
Yeah. Again, the water main project focused specifically on the criticality by 515. So the water is like separate from the sewer in a sense. They're not kind of tied together, but I mean, we could visit the feasibility if there's an incentive for that person to have sewer, and I guess extend the sewer there. I guess it would be a force main, and you could just move with that separately if that's something we're interested in doing.
Yeah, I think we're interested in doing it, but I think that'd be a phase 2. Because I think it's critical to get the main done for down 515 and loop it, and see what the funds look like at that point, right? Because I think it's worth pursuing down the road because there's an interest to get water and sewer to the Vernon Inn, and there's obvious interest. And but I think we need to see what the funding looks like after we get the project done.
I think also there by Vernon Inn.
Yeah, it is an issue.
Say again, Janelle.
The stream crossing at Vernon Inn, like that's an issue for water and sewer.
Yeah, to get that stream crossing permit. I mean, I think it's worth looking into from an engineering standpoint, but the actual construction, I think we have to hold off until we get this phase done. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
Get the project done and then move on to the next project.
Yeah, I suppose that's
Just-
also expanding the amount of work that we would be doing on the state highway. So,
Correct. Well, that's the other reason too, because that's 94.
yeah,
And then that's going to be a difficult thing to overcome.
If I could interject there 1 second, I think if we've discussed this once before. Oh, I can't remember how long ago it was, but we looked into the possibility of running the sewer tube or sewer pipe over the top, much like they do in other areas where there's a reservoir or a bridge or something like that. And it came back like as non-feasible. It was they probably wouldn't let you do it, because it's over the top of a stream, and to go underneath the stream was murder expensive. I'm going back to when Howie. I'm going back, I guess, when Skirbo was still here, and I can't remember. Maybe it was Howie was the worker, the liaison, but it was kind of investigated and turned out to be forget about it. It was too expensive.
Yeah, horizontal drilling is very expensive. Because you got the horizontal.
I'm sorry, Mike. I interrupted you.
Yeah, it was horizontal drilling is a very expensive proposition.
And I think that's why we were looking at having side and not actually, it would be above ground, coming out from the ground, and then it would be visible. I think there's one at the end of Sand Hill. I think there's a pipe above ground.
yeah,
there
we
doing the
passed some
same
of those
thing.
as we were
So, I
walking
mean-
the pipeline.
Yeah, it's not something that
Insulated.
doesn't get done. I mean, it does exist. A lot of times you're crossing streams and rivers and the pipe has to keep going. So I think
Well, the double line.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, when John was here in charge and we looked into it, that was one thing. I think we have, I think it's something that when the time comes, we should look into it again. Have a different set of people doing the looking, so to speak. Might
Yeah.
come back with different results.
Yep.
We can have the owner of the property.
Okay, so I understand it's a phase 2 now. Thank you for
let's-
clarifying
Let's
that.
leave it for phase 2.
And that's the conclusion of my comments.
All right, thanks, Kristen. The only comments I have, Scott, I don't know if you know this, but the council approved you moving up to alternate 1.
Yes, Harry reached out to me the other day.
Oh, good. That's good.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know that. Other than that, I have no other comments. I appreciate everybody's work. I think we're making a lot of progress. This is once again, a great MUA. Team's working very well together. Let's keep on move everything forward. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Dave McDermott, seconded by Paul Carney. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hopefully no. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good evening.
Night, take care.
Take care, everyone.
With the entire